It is Thanksgiving week, and I'm so thankful for all of the guests that we've had on the show. Man, it's wild to think that we're over 26,000 people have listened to this show. It is just mind-blowing to me. So thank you to everybody. Hey, as a token of appreciation, we've been able to partner up with Kanga Coolers. I've got their CEO, Austin Maxwell, is this episode. And if you go to kangacoolers.com, this is the first time this ever happened for this podcast. Super, super dope. If you go to kangacoolers.com, you get 10% off of anything in the store. Anything. Even the kangaroo suit that I'm wearing while the interview goes on. So go to kangacoolers.com. For your promo code, type in People of Packaging. That's People of Packaging. You'll get 10% off. They make for incredible gifts for people in your life who just want to keep 6 packs of yogurt and soda, anything you want to keep cool. But no, 12 packs of beer, 6 packs of beer, kangaroos. They got all sorts of cool stuff there. They've got a great episode on Shark Tank you can check out. So go to kangacoolers.com, type in People of Packaging, get 10% off your order. Buy some gifts for yourself and for some other people in your life. Go check them out. And if you want to hear more about their story, keep listening to this interview that I got to do with Austin Maxwell. All right, so this is the first podcast interview I've ever done, Austin, where I dressed up. I ordered in, if you're not watching this online, you should, because I'm wearing a kangaroo costume and I'm sitting in my closet, Austin, and it's freaking hot in here. So I'm going to take the kangaroo hood off
You look phenomenal, brother.
Thank you.
There's no shame in wearing that post-Halloween. I think that can go 365 days a year.
You know, so let me tell you this. One time, I'm a big basketball fan. Are you a basketball fan at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch playoffs. Yeah, in college.
Okay,
ball.
all right. I love basketball. So I was at a high school game in Utah, and it was not Utah teams. And this kid who's going to be like, you know, a top 2 or 3 pick in the draft in a few years. His name's Amari Bailey. And Amari walks into the gym in a legit full Elmo suit. And he just carried himself. He was just like, what are you going to say? You're not going to say anything. And some of it's just confidence, you know, like.
Did he ball out?
Oh, he's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
No, he's really good. He's probably going to, he's well known for being a really good basketball player. His mom is really well known because I believe she is currently dating Drake. So, you know, he's doing all right.
He can wear that if he wants. Whatever
also,
he wants.
I mean, if we need to get him a kangaroo outfit, I think we should do that, right? Like, yeah, we should represent. But anyway, man, I'm excited. I've been excited for this interview for a while, not just because I got to wear this costume, which is great, and I will wear it out. Like,
good.
I'm known to wear eclectic sneakers and just clothing in general. So, you know, maybe I'll do a keynote. Who knows?
We've been told you'll get free drinks typically when you wear it, just for the sheer, what is this guy doing? You'll get a lot of free drinks at the bars.
Okay. Burgers. Even in Utah, because Utah's got some weird liquor laws. I'm just letting you know.
Maybe, I don't know if we have any data on Utah kangaroo suit usage, so might have to figure that one out.
I can be your kangaroo pig for that.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know. That guinea pig, kangaroo, that didn't work. But that's all right. Anyway, this is the weirdest introduction, which is perfect. So I've got Austin Maxwell on the People of Packaging podcast. And Austin, I want you to tell, like, when we talked beforehand, you were like, man, I've told this story a lot on podcasts, but in case people have not, or they're not familiar with your story and the story of Kanga, why don't you give them, you know, just a quick background on what you guys have done and how you've built this company out, and then we'll get into why I wanted to have you on a packaging podcast of all things.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Adam. I'm excited to be here just as much. I love seeing the kangaroo suit initiative. That definitely sealed the deal for, I mean, I can't not come on this podcast and do, 30, 40, however long this is after you lead with that. So
I
that's,
do what I can. I do what I can.
that's incredible. You know how to do it right. I'm happy to give the Spark Notes version of the story. I definitely have told it a lot, but again, I want to make sure people have a frame of reference. And so, Kanga Coolers is a company that my buddies and I started in college in 2017 in an entrepreneurship class. We were tasked with solving a problem that we face on a regular basis. So going to a tailgating school or just a large school in the Southeast, a problem that we felt that we regularly faced on game day was warm beer. The reason that we faced this problem of warm beer is because walking around from our fraternity tailgate to our family's tailgate to a friend's family's tailgate, doing maybe 3 to 5 miles worth of walking in a 6 to 7 hour period, carrying around beer, there was really only 2 options for us. Option 1 was lugging around a big bulky cooler that everyone had. We all spent hundreds of dollars on it. It just wasn't a practical method to transfer 24, 48 beers, drinks, however, from point A to B to C. Option 1 was very difficult. So we kind of counted that out. What most people did is option 2, which is you go to a gas station or a liquor store or grocery store on your way to the tailgate, you go to the refrigerator aisle, you buy a cold 12-pack or 24-pack of beer, and you walk around with what we call a naked case of beer. So that would just be the cardboard and the cans and their original packaging. And you're just walking around with this. And if it's 75 plus degrees outside, typically the condensation is going to warm up the beers very fast. It's also going to break the handle on that cardboard, 12 or 24 pack. So you end up having to carry it like a baby around for hours at a time. Your beer becomes not drinkable within an hour or two. Typically you would need friends to help you out, or you just need to be quick with it if you're actually going to get your money's worth out of that case. So my partner, he actually saw someone take a beer out of a cooler and put it into a can insulator, just a typical neoprene koozie. And that's when it kind of lit off a spark in his mind. If we have koozies for the can, which is something that's going to keep it cold the entire time you're going to consume that beverage, why don't we have a koozie or a can insulator for the entire case of beer for the entire time that you're actually going to consume that case of beer? And so we ordered a roll of foam from Amazon and took it to a local seamstress with a 24-pack of beer and this roll of foam. And we said, hey, like, we're broke college kids. We don't have any money to pay you, but if you can wrap this 24-pack with this foam and stitch us something that's like a koozie, we'll let you keep the case of beer. And so that was kind of our trade-off for getting the initial prototype made. And so we have the OG one still here. It's been through a lot of product testing and a lot of scrutiny on the original couple of years at it. But it was awesome to see the product come to fruition. We took that prototype, launched a Kickstarter campaign, sold a couple thousand units to friends and family and local backers, and had enough capital to launch our first production run. Production run went as smooth as any other Kickstarter production run goes, which means whatever timeline you committed to your backers, it's going to be double or triple that. Right. And that's exactly what happened. And we definitely had some frustrated people, internal, external, that didn't get the cooler the day that they thought they were going to get it. Sourcing product for the first time, was proven to be a bigger challenge than we ever thought. When we, in that process, in that about 9-month process after the class project, we had an opportunity to go down to Atlanta, Georgia, audition for ABC's Shark Tank when we were still kind of at prototype phase. We had just really gotten the Kickstarter launched. We went down there thinking nothing of it. Hey, we'll just try out, probably won't make it. We can try again in the future, but let's go see what the process is like. Well, turns out the Shark Tank process takes almost a year from start to finish. So as we were going through the next steps of Shark Tank, we were actually able to grow the business to a point where when we were invited out to Los Angeles to film for the show, we had at least a little bit of sales to prove that this could be a real company someday. And it's not just a product. And so had success with that, made a deal with Mark Cuban on the show in, that was September of 2018. The episode aired in April of 2019. The week before we flew out to LA to film is when we received that shipment from Kickstarter with our actual first run of inventory. So we were 7 days away from filming for this massive television show with no product, just the one the local seamstress made for us, which I can't imagine we would have gotten a deal had we shown up without any product.
Gosh, that's crazy.
So that was pretty wild. The class project itself was funny in that we ended up getting a C on the project just for not following the rubric the way that we should have. It eventually got bumped up to a B after everything was said and done. But we took it seriously. For us, it was not just the project. It was like, wow, could this really be a company one day? Whereas a lot of our other classmates, it was a project for them. How can we get an A? How can we check the boxes? And so I think that's where we maybe lost sight of all the different things the rubric required to get a good grade on it. And so after Shark Tank, after that aired, after we got some of our supply chain figured out and had some more manufacturers that were more reliable, and we got product in, we got a lot of feedback from our customers. We evolved the product very quickly. I'd say today now, after 4 years, we're probably on iteration 5 or 6 from that original Kickstarter model, just trying to always make improvements to it.
Sure.
What the product is essentially a koozie for a case of beer, just like I said in the prototype. So you would grab a cold 12-pack from the fridge, you would slide it into our insulated sleeve, you would zip it up, open up the flap, you tear a hole in the cardboard right here, and you grab a cold beer. No ice needed for up to 7 hours. Really depends on your condition, but the 7-hour claim is based on 75-degree weather. So if it's 90 degrees out, maybe it's 4 or 5 hours of staying truly ice cold. Or if it's 50 degrees out, you're good for 10 plus hours. What we like to say is if it takes you that long to drink, 12-pack of beer with you or your friends, then we need to have a different conversation.
Yeah,
But
no doubt.
That's the original concept of the company. And we're based here in Greenville, South Carolina. The original founders, we were all Clemson graduates. I studied industrial engineering. My partner studied marketing and business. I do sales now. They do engineering. We've all kind of flipped into roles that we're going to bring the most value to the company. And we've been very fortunate to hire people in their respective fields that are professionals at what they do, because we've got good self-awareness on what we suck at. And if we suck at something, we bring in someone who knows that space a whole lot better than we do. And so we've grown the team now to 8 full-time employees. We have a 9th starting in January. We have 2 interns. We have 4 or 5 subcontractors that we work with across the country. And we have a brand ambassador program of over 400 students and young adults that represent Kanga and the Kanga brand in their city or in their, in their school or university. And so it's really been a crazy journey just to kind of reflect on things. We don't often get to reflect on where we've come from. And it is always refreshing when I get to do a podcast like this, to kind of think on, wow, like this was really just an infant just a couple years ago. And in all of our minds, we still are very, very small. But that's because we kind of know what we can do and what trees we can shake in the next 2 to 3 years to kind of go toe to toe with some of these bigger brands.
Yeah.
And everyone's head and mindset on our team right now is thinking in the future. We've just released new products a couple weeks ago. We already have new products on order for March of 2022. We've already in development for new stuff for Q3 and Q4 of next year and for Q1 and Q2 of 2023. So just always constantly innovating. It's either improvements on the current product or just brand new stuff in a new category. And it's just been a journey, man. So rewarding, so cool. I love doing stuff like this. We get invited to talk to a lot of high schoolers, college students. Even I talked to a 2nd grade class once about entrepreneurship, and I'm like, dude, I still don't know how to spell the word, and these 2nd graders have it as part of their curriculum. Like, that is unbelievable to me. But
all right, let's take a quick break. Little reminder here. Go to kangacoolers.com, KangaCoolers.com. And if you're watching this interview, you can see all of the great products they have, from the Performance Rooski, which is this really sweet, innovative way to keep your beer cold, or your soda, for all my Utah friends. The pouch, the casemate. They've got hats. They've got shirts. Like I said, all the way down to stickers, and even a little kangaroo suit for yourself. So head on over to kangacoolers.com, and when you check out, make sure you type in People of Packaging and get 10% off of your order. Support what they're doing. It's an awesome company making some really cool products. So again, kangacoolers.com, type in People of Packaging to get 10% off. Let's jump back into the interview. And that's awesome. And what a fun, I got to imagine, I mean, it's not all like roses and fairy tales, I'm sure, when you're part of this, like this dynamic growth company. Like, it sounds like you've built, right? And I love the fact, I don't know why I'm such a sucker for, like, and then my teacher gave me a C, and we showed her or him that we were gonna actually go do this thing. But so, I mean, like, just thinking through, like, how many businesses start not from, oh, we can go make a grip of money, or, oh, we're going to go get rich, but you're college students going, hey, we're going to solve a problem that we know exists. And you spelled it out really clearly. To be motivated by that, it's not like you're saving the planet or something, but you're making an experience so much better for not just the college student. But think about, I'm sure you've already thought through this, at least from a packaging standpoint. You mentioned when those 12-pack beverage carriers, when that paperboard breaks, like, that degrades the brand value of that company, even though they had no control. They're probably like, well, they shouldn't have been carrying it around, and how do they not know there was gonna be condensation that was gonna, and water and paper don't go very well together. Like, all that stuff is true. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Your beer was the beer that busted at the tailgate.
Yep.
When Clemson is getting ready to play Georgia, and now that, and 5 of them broke open and got on someone's clothes. It's like, that was your beer. So,
not a good look.
Not a good look.
Yeah.
No, not a good look at all. Well, that's cool, man. I appreciate I'm sure there's so much more to be said and to kind of tell, and you probably can talk for hours about you just kind of skipped over the fact that you were trying to prepare to go on Shark Tank without product going. Yeah. Is product going to show up? And I'm sure you had contingency plans, like, well, what if it doesn't show up? What are we going to do? I mean,
our producers were probably like, we need to either get everyone in a kangaroo suit just to keep the entertainment value, or something different, because that was definitely on our mind. But it was when things are out of our control, like we're facing right now with the supply chain craziness out there, and just kind of roll with the punches, make the most of the situation. If you set yourself up for success and you're properly prepared, 80-90% of the time, it ends up working out for you if you had that front end work put in. And so we're very fortunate in that it did show up just kind of like a couple of days before. We didn't even, like, when we flew out to LA, we didn't have it. Like, our guys who stayed back had to ship it to us. Like, it was that tight of a timeline. And so you just never know with that kind of stuff. And
well, hey, it all worked out in the end, right?
Sure did.
So I had, as you're kind of talking through this, I'm even thinking about this concept a little bit deeper, which is, when we talked, you said, like, I've never really thought about our products, as packaging. And that's part of the problem that I have with like the marketing of the industry, is when I tell people I work in packaging, or they host a packaging podcast, it's like, like box, like how much can you talk about Amazon shipping boxes? And I'm like, no, literally everything in your space is there because of packaging, like all of it. It is a mass. It's like a $1 trillion global industry. It's one of the biggest industries in the world.
You never think about,
and nobody really thinks about it. And you guys built a product that you obviously don't market or think of as packaging, But what does it ultimately do? So I've got like I ordered a Clemson one because I didn't even, honestly, I should have done some research. I didn't realize you guys went to Clemson. I got it. I got it because Clemson has a great packaging school. And they do a lot of work to advance. There's a whole packaging lab there.
Yep.
There's all sorts of stuff that, and if you've never toured it, you should hit up Dr. Hurley, who kind of runs it. He's amazing. Um, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is helping provide more value to the packaging. So in a can of beer or, with a canned beer product, you've got the can, right? And people think of cans as packaging.
Mhm.
That was pretty typical. And then you've got the box because this is, correct me if I'm wrong. Are these designed like there's a 12 pack for cans? Are there different sizes if I had like a 6 pack or if I had like can you work with glass? Like
Yeah.
are they optimized for different types of segments? I guess I didn't even ask about that.
No, that's a great question. No, they exactly are. And it's pretty important for the performance of the product that you order to the correct size. So we have a 12 pack for 12-ounce cans, slim or standard size cans. We've got a 24 pack and a 30 pack, same concept. It's designed to exactly fit the most commonly sized 24 packs and 30 packs that you'll see on the market. There's variation in everything. A Coors Light can is shaped slightly different than the Miller Lite, Bud Light. And then obviously you've got the White Claw and the Michelob Ultra skinny cans of the world. Generally, our cooler is going to fit 90% of the packages that are out there on the market. We have a more versatile soft cooler called the Pouch that was designed to fit the 12 pack, but it will hold a 6 pack of bottles too, because they have very similar dimensions. So if you're going to use it without ice, which is how our products were designed to be used, it is critical that you use them the way that they were designed to be used. So
Yeah.
definitely makes it more of a niche market in that. But when used properly, you're kind of like, wow, I can't believe that actually worked for 7 hours. I never thought my last beer was going to be cold. I'm in 75, 80 degree weather. Like, what the heck?
Right.
Uh, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. And
your perception on packaging is very unique. Like, I'm interested to hear kind of what you thought when you see the Clemson 12 pack that you have there.
yeah, so what I saw was difficult because I have like a packaging perspective, right? And that's not normal for people. I look at a lot of things through this lens. And so what I saw was like packaging for packaging is basically what it is. So like you already touched on it. The aluminum can is only going to provide a level of insulation that's going to be it's going to be pretty small. That's why we have these neoprene koozies, which
Mhm.
again is packaging for the packaging, right? It provides the primary role of packaging is to protect the product to the best of the ability. So what you've done is you've provided a way to experience the product, which is not the packaging. The product is the beer, right? In this case,
Mhm.
that's the product. And so you are protecting that product for a longer period of time so that it can provide the maximum amount of enjoyment in this case, right? Or use in other cases. That's the primary goal of packaging is to elongate whether it's shelf life because you're going to keep, air and moisture out, or in this case, it's prolonging the useful nature of cold beer, which is important. Nobody really likes I mean, I'm sure there's some areas in the world where room temperature beer is preferred, but they're
Yep.
crazy. Like in the US for the most part, like people want to have cold beer, especially at a tailgate when you're outside, when you're at at a party, you're hanging out with your friends, like you don't want to be drinking warm beer.
Yep.
Um and so what your product does is function as packaging in that sense. It's portable. It provides a useful case to the product. It's enabling people to enjoy it at its maximum level. So that's what I saw, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is packaging." Like a cooler is actually packaging. In some cases, like with vaccinations, like with the Pfizer vaccine, that cooler, the vaccine won't even make it because it has to be kept at a really, really, really low temperature. So that insulation is part of it.
Mhm.
And while you're not you're not helping provide vaccinations for people, you are helping to enable the enjoyment of the tailgate at a higher level, or what you already know all the problems that you guys solve, and oftentimes these problems are solved with packaging. So that was how I looked at it, and was part of the reason that I reached out. And I just want to be able to wear this suit and
which
sweat
is
in my
incredible.
closet.
I would have it on right now as well, but I would be, after 5-10 minutes, I would be sweating. We wore them all week at a trade show, and
It's
they're
warm.
toasty. Good for
It
winter
is.
time for sure.
I've got a light glaring at me, and yeah, I will. I will be showering after this for sure.
It's phenomenal. No, I think it's super interesting the way that you described that, because I would have not thought of it that way. I've always seen our product, and an area of the business I manage is our B2B relationships. We do a lot of full custom business for brands, breweries, companies, collegiate schools that want their logo on our product, because the process we use to print on the product is dye sublimation. It offers basically open-ended customization, and you can get really, really unique and creative. And so we've done some awesome stuff with hundreds of companies, and I've always seen the advertising avenue for the product. So for
Yeah.
example, if we design a cooler for Anheuser-Busch, for Bud Light, and someone purchases that cooler and they're going to use it, even if that person is a Miller Lite drinker, that when they're out and about using the product, Bud Light is getting those impressions. Bud Light is getting the advertising. So I always saw that avenue. Obviously, we value convenience heavily, because it's not going to work for 7 days like one of our hard-sided cooler competitors. But we value the convenience that meshes with the performance, for enough performance that you'll actually be able to enjoy the liquid. But talking about from a packaging perspective is definitely unique, because that's exactly what it is. It is protecting the contents of what's inside. And it sounds like that's literally what the definition is of packaging, which
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was until you said it. So
Well, and I
cool
mean,
to come out of
there's a
that.
couple of different ways, right? So, because you just described a secondary one, which is imagine if somebody handed you a 12 pack of beer, and the cans were all silver, there was nothing on them, and the box was blank. It was just a white box. And someone was like, "Here, drink this." You'd be like, and you don't know them. It's a total stranger. Like, you go
You
to a
ain't drink.
store, you're never going to buy that product. There's just a UPC
Yep.
code on it. You don't know if you don't know what it is. You have no idea. And so packaging also conveys, brand equity and trust through the principal nature of packaging. So as you're describing that, I'm like, yes, you're getting even more into it, like because it is part of the brand, especially for beer companies. Like their packaging conveys their brand messaging,
Yep.
that begins through all sorts of different kinds of marketing, but it ends at that store shelf at that moment of purchase when the somebody is going to buy it. And even as you were describing that, I was thinking like I know people who would probably buy, like they would buy a Bud Light one, but they don't like Bud Light, but they know all their friends do, and they would fill it up with Miller Lite and just like covertly be like,
Yep.
yeah, this is what
Yep.
I'm,
Yeah.
just to fit in, you know what I'm saying? But you're right. Like, who's really getting that brand equity in that case? It's the fact they show up with something new, innovative, different. Like, oh man, what is that? What are you, is that a lunchbox? Like, what did you show up with? And it's like, no, no, no. And then they pop it open. It's like, that's got to be, especially with this magnetic closure.
Yeah.
Like, I love that you thought through that, because that could have been a really sore spot for the usability of this thing, is if this didn't have this magnetic side of it, then people are going to be frustrated if they had a button or something that they're constantly trying to get
It was
closed, and then
Velcro.
or
Velcro for the
Velcro.
first two
Yeah.
years, and the way that we actually changed it, it had always been a goal to improve that Velcro, because it deteriorates over time. But
Yeah.
we acquired a Realtree camouflage license, and so once we printed Realtree's camo on our coolers, we had the hunting industry kind of latch onto the product, and we had hunters who bought the Realtree 12 pack to drink beer out while they're after a day of hunting, or during, even if it's keeping sodas cold. And if when they opened the flap, the Velcro noise scared
Scared
away
away the
what
animals.
they were hunting for. And so we got feedback from them, hey, it needs to be more quiet, it needs to be more accessible. And it was like, all right, rock on, let's try a magnet. And it's kind of funny how it came from that problem, when we always knew we wanted to improve that, but they kind of pushed us into like, no, you guys need to do this now. It makes a lot of sense. It actually is not just a convenience thing. It actually has a real impact. And so it's kind of funny to hear it come
Dude,
from
that's
that.
amazing. Yeah, and you know, it's again like crossing back over between like that is a common it's a common thing that does happen within packaging where it's still, you know, might be functional, still might be useful, but even the sound, like there are chip manufacturers who have come out with a different type of film, but the bag was too loud and they got so many
Hmm.
complaints that their sales completely like took a nosedive because of the sound of the bag, because what people wanted to do is be able to sneak chips at night. And they found that when they would go in to sneak like a late night snack, if it was like it was like waking people up and they were so mad they're like, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna go buy another bag of chips. Like who would have thought about that, right? Like so
Right.
it's cool that again, you know, sticking with that common theme, it sounds like you have built into the culture is like we're just going to keep solving problems as they come up. And to have that sort of dynamic culture, I'll go back to it. It's got to be just so much fun and so lively as you're looking at iterating your product and building new things out and looking at different markets and, okay, well, where can we solve it for this industry or that industry? And I think it's awesome, man.
I appreciate it.
And what a cool story with Realtree.
Yeah, that's been really cool.
That's awesome. So, we're like I figured the time would go by super quick, to be honest with you, and it has. If we've been talking for like almost 30 minutes, so
Wow.
which is wild to me. So, we'll kind of start to wrap it up here. As you're looking at the future, I know that you've got like the koozie that just came out, or the it. So I don't know this. I'm just gonna ask it. Is koozie kind of like Kleenex? Like, is that a brand?
It is, and you
Oh,
got to be
interesting.
careful
Okay.
because they're owned by Bic, who is a massive. They make the pens and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
cool stuff you'll see in Staples and whatnot. And so it's technically called a can insulator or
A
a
can
can.
insulator. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're good.
You
I mean, we verbally say koozie. It's just we're not allowed to have, and companies like us can't have it in
As
their.
soon as I said that, I was like, I wonder if this is one of those things. Like, for example, in the packaging industry, you might not know this, but styrofoam is actually a brand
I
name.
did not know that, and I
It's
would have
not,
never guessed.
I know, it's called EPS is the type of
Interesting.
polystyrene, but a I don't for
Our producers on Shark Tank definitely messed up then because we weren't allowed to say koozie on the show, but we did say the word styrofoam cooler when we were using it as part of our pitch to convey the inconvenience
oh
that
yeah.
styrofoam. So they missed that. We definitely weren't supposed to say it if styrofoam is, a
It's a
brand
type,
name.
it's like a brand name for a manufacturer
Crazy.
of polystyrene. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's always shocking to me what of these things are that exist out there. Okay, so you have a can insulator that has a like a handhold, which again,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I got to send you one of these so you can check it out yourself. But yeah, so these are on these finger straps are on the back of millions of phone cases right now, and everyone in our office had one. And so as this vacuum sealed can insulator industry is starting to explode, or has been in the last couple of years, we wanted to bring innovation to that market. And so everyone has these on their phone. We were like, why don't they have it on something that is also in your hand equally as much when you're tailgating or when you're walking around with the beverage? And so this has been a huge for us, launched in April of 2021. And so we're just kind of getting it out of the market. The feedback's been awesome. And then we engineered the top gasket here, so you don't actually have to twist anything on or off. A lot of our
Oh,
competitors in this space, it's a twist off. For our can, you can actually just push it in and it will stay in kind of like a Dairy Queen sundae until you're ready to reload another beer. So that was the second piece of innovation in this space. But from a packaging perspective, we have been working on improving. Right now, we just have a wrap that goes all the way around. And it is nice because our wrap allows you at retail to interact with the finger strap, which is a big value prop for us. However, a lot of our competition right now has a very premium box that their can insulators sit inside with beautiful artwork on it and their value props, and similar like an Apple box almost. It is a very thick,
mm,
well-made cardboard or whatever the material is box. And so now that we're getting into some of these larger stores, trying to sit on a shelf next to them, it'll be interesting to hear how people respond to our product, we all feel, and obviously it's biased, but our product at the same price point as our competitors has more value to it. It has two features that most of them do not have. And our retail price will be exactly the same, but they may be invested a little more in packaging, or their packaging is a different shape. Ours needed to be thin and easy so people can interact with this. But as data comes out from a packaging perspective, it's going to be very interesting to see how we can compete on the same shelf as people who maybe our product is better, but maybe their packaging is slightly better. Who's going to win that customer's decision at that, point of purchase, when a lot of it is just kind of last minute? You might walk into a store with no research done before. It's who's going to win the impulse buy. And so very, very interesting. Same with our coolers. Right now they ship flat. It's efficient. It's great. It's great for when people are done using it, they can fold them up and just slide them somewhere small. But at retail, having packaging that conveys, wow, this is what it looks like when it's used with the whole 24 pack of beer or cans inside, learning that kind of stuff. And we've always wanted to have that premium packaging experience when a customer orders off our website. And there's a lot of companies that we look up to. Chubby Shorts, if you're familiar, like when I was a brand ambassador for them in college, when they sent you a pair of shorts, it came in such a nice box. You open it, there's someone's face on it, and it's got all this text and maybe a future discount code. And, it's just, it adds to the whole, your love for that brand. And it adds to, and some people, why do people keep the Apple boxes? Like, people have the iPhone 3, they've got the box from a decade ago, just because, and they don't even use it. It's just because it's well done packaging. And so our head has been spinning more as our products mature. I think your packaging needs to mature at a very similar rate if you want to continue to play against some of the bigger players.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you're in luck in terms of your location. Just as a plug for what they do at Clemson. So they actually have, if you haven't been there before, they have this whole like packaging insight lab where you can get like data. They'll like A/B test stuff of like a retail location. So they have a lot of, they do a lot there in terms of exactly what you described. So I will, I'll make sure to connect you up with them once
that would be great.
The
It's
podcast is over.
Crazy that we've never connected with that department. We work with the industrial engineering department, the marketing, the business department, obviously entrepreneurship, but that would be great if you can make that intro.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm coming out with a course through the packaging school. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to come out, but I've done all the videos and we're going through some production stuff right now. So,
awesome.
So actually, I don't even think I've talked about that publicly. So surprise. But it's going to be really great. So I'll make sure to connect you up with those folks for sure. Because they're doing a lot. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes I think it can be overstated, and this is coming from somebody in the packaging industry, the importance, and it's really good to just get data. And I only say that because I know that there will be packaging people who will tell you, like, this is absolutely necessary. You need to spend more money. You need to make it really premium. You need to do all that kind of stuff. And it turns out that they actually make the stuff they're trying to sell you. Shocker. And so I'm always like, yeah, let's just be really careful in the packaging industry, because I've seen some really bad premium packaging, meaning somebody was trying to be Apple. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't sell $1,000 computer that fits inside of someone's pocket. Like, it's cool to have just normal packaging. Like, even just reducing packaging can be eye-catching on a shelf. So I'm always trying to implore people, like, it's okay to move your, like, you have a really cool product. I think it's like, just looking at it, like the fact that it's like vacuum sealed right there, that it's simple to use, like, that's just some packaging advice here on the podcast. Like, I think it's okay to be like, let's just have some simple packaging, and that might stand out more than, whoever your competitors are there
on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, there's some, I'm sure the folks at Clemson will give you some great ideas, and the fact that you went there is also really, really great. So you're in retail locations, you're doing all these brand partnerships. People can go online. I know I bought my stuff through your website because I I have this theory, right, wrong, or indifferent, that if I actually go to the company site and pay them money, that might be a better way to do things. So I try to buy stuff,
We
you
appreciate
know,
the support.
off of
Absolutely.
to maximize profitability. So maybe just wrap this up with, how can people get more Kanga and
Yeah.
sweat inside of a closet doing podcast interviews? Apparently, if you want to get Austin on your podcast, go drop whatever it was,
What
60
a
something
day.
bucks on the website.
No, I really appreciate you doing that. And I would have done the podcast anyways, but that prompted me to immediately respond and schedule it, prioritize it over other things. And
I
the
appreciate it,
podcasts,
man.
they're fun. I'll always jump on and chit chat with someone, especially about a topic that this was the most I've ever like dove in with a topic that's not just, hey, Austin, what's your story? What's the Shark Tank story? Like, hey,
Yeah,
let's talk about like your followers like packaging. Let's talk about how that applies to Kanga Coolers, and they've never done that before. And so I can
awesome.
even pull some takeaways from this conversation and bring it to our next team mastermind session and stuff. But yeah, where I tell people to go is check us out on social media first and foremost. I always want our company to provide value to the customer before we ever ask for the sale. So go follow us on TikTok. We're a bunch of goobers. We do really dumb stuff.
It's a
And
great TikTok channel to follow, by the way. I don't spend a lot of time on there, but I have been building some people on TikTok. So I think I've got like 100 something followers right now. I made a TikTok actually.
I like the one that you showed about the coffee plastic bottle with the label that pulls up and it rips
Mm.
off so you can recycle it. I think that's really cool. And I mean, I think that was one of your better performing TikToks. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
it's it.
it's a
But
thing. But no, you guys have a great TikTok channel to follow. So I encourage everyone to go after you follow me at Rev Adam Peak, of course.
there you go. Yeah, you gotta follow Adam first, and then Instagram. Check out our website. Check out the different products that we have. Holiday season's right around the corner. They make for great gifts, especially if you have a favorite beer in mind that your friend or family member or soda that they consume. A great way to gift them one of our products is put their favorite drink inside of it, and then put a bow on it, put it under the tree, and maybe someone can enjoy a nice cold beer at Christmas morning. But all in good fun. KangaCoolers.com. Yeah, Adam, I really appreciate you having me on today. And is there anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap it up?
Man, I think I've got to get out of this kangaroo
I was
suit.
gonna say that didn't fly by. That was like 45 minutes, and like it felt like just a couple minutes of talking. But that's normally how good podcasts go. So I hope your followers find value in this, and you guys
So much.
continue to follow Adam. He's doing big things in his industry, and I would definitely consider him a professional in the packaging space.
Man, I appreciate that so much. Well, Austin, hopefully some people can go make sure that their packaging gets protected with some Kanga Coolers and their beer gets prolonged. So everyone go check that out. Appreciate you coming on, Austin. It's been great.
You got it. Cheers, guys.
Well, that is it for another episode of the People of Packaging podcast. Thanks for listening. It would mean so much to us if you would like and share and subscribe to this podcast. We want as many people to know about the incredible people that we have in the packaging industry, because we believe that packaging is awesome. Thanks again.